All right. Speaking of the trolls and Israel, I got to ask you about this. Let's talk about Jeffrey Epstein. I recently got attacked because of a couple of conversations I had with Tim Dillon 3 and 4 years ago. I love Tim Dillon. He's hilarious.
I love Tim too. I've known Tim for many years. Love that guy.
Yeah. So I bring up Jeffrey Epstein often because there's a fascinating study of evil to me, whichever angle you take on it. And I think they're partially to talk shit, but I showed some skepticism that he's connected to Mossad. So to me, there's three, and I've evolved on that since then. By the way, I'm not actually sure it's Mossad. It could be any intelligence agency. It could be CIA. But I was wondering if you could educate me. I did a little research on this last night. I looked into it a little more, and then I saw that you said he's definitely Mossad.
Well, I don't know if I didn't say he was definitely Mossad. I don't know my exact. I mean, I made one kind of jokey post, as is the case with almost any intelligence operation. Look, I don't want to like poo-poo anybody's hopes here because I guess like the JFK files just got released and supposedly the rest of the Epstein files are coming out, and there's a lot of there's a major yearning right now to get to the end of the movie where we find out everything that happened, and that I think it's great that people have that desire, and I hope more and more does come out. I think the truth is that with any intelligence operations, we're probably never going to know all of the details of exactly what happened.
The funny thing about intelligence agencies, and I've been regularly accused of being CIA, FSB, or Mossad, depending on the group that's attacking me. But I think it's a fascinating topic, and it's very difficult to know somebody's intelligence. But if you have any nuance and want to discuss the nuances, then the comment is going to be that guy for sure is Mossad.
Right. Yeah,
if we're talking about Mossad or so on. But yeah, that's one of the things I didn't know, and I saw Alex Acosta said that basically mentioned that Epstein's intelligence. That to me is like, okay, that's a piece of evidence. That's a really valuable piece of evidence that he's intelligence. And that was very, not just intelligence, but Mossad. Because that, before that, I thought it might be CIA, because I kind of heard
and I think it's quite possible that he was working with elements of both. I mean, as I think is often the case. I also think that's something that people get a little bit wrong, like when they think like, okay, this guy was CIA or this guy was Mossad. And then there's also, I think there's the possibility that there are rogue elements within those organizations. Like this is not necessarily coming from the director or what, I don't know. But you look at the guy, the way his career trajectory tracks is like completely unexplainable outside of being connected to intelligence. Like it's not just like the one or two people saying that he's intelligence. It's like, dude, the idea that you're just like, you have no experience and you're a teacher at Dalton, which is like this incredibly elite New York City private school, and then all of a sudden you're at Bear Stearns, and like within 2 years you've like made partner and you're worth hundreds of millions of dollars and nobody knows where you made your money from. This just doesn't happen. And then you're just inserted into this world with all of the most like highest level political leaders and cultural figures and stuff. But the thing that's amazing about the Jeffrey Epstein story is that it's like the level of evil and the level of corruption that it exposes, no matter what the answer is. Like, no matter what the answer is, you're gonna tell me that there was a pedophile ring in our country that involved, I mean, listen, dude, if you had said this shit before it came out, this would have been the wildest conspiracy theory. But a pedophile ring that involves the most powerful people in the United States of America and in the world to some degree, touching the royal family, the Clintons, like all these people, and that this was known and covered up and then allowed to continue. I mean, like, there's a blackmail operation that relies on raping American children. And like, if this is, whether it's CIA or Mossad doesn't make one less, it's equally horrible. But then there's like these elements where like, you're like, okay, so when he first got arrested, And then he was given a slap on the wrist, and then the prosecutor says, "Well, I was told by the intelligence community that he's intelligence and to go easy on him." It's like, okay, okay, and you didn't resign in disgust that day. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that's too much to ask for. You know, there was the ABC reporter who said that she had the whole story. She was on the hot mic saying she had the whole story, and then the network told her to squash it. It's like, and you stayed working there?
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm not saying like we're all imperfect and none of us are heroes, but like, you're at a news network and you uncovered a child raping ring that implicated the most powerful people in our society, and your news network told you we will not run this story because of our relationship with the royal family, and you did not resign in disgust that day and take this story to every single independent, outlet that would maybe publish it. I'm sorry. It's like it's so damning to the entire apparatus that we did not see, at the very least, see mass resignations of this. Forget even like at the very least expect that it would have been prosecuted and shut down. And then, still to this day, even it's like, and I think Tucker Carlson just said this recently, but like, and I guess it's a little bit of a weird area when you're filming people raping children, but where are the tapes? Why is everyone talking about the flight logs and the files? Where are the tapes? This guy was clearly taping people to blackmail them. Where are those? I don't know what the legal process of this is, but like, because I think technically it's child porn. So like, yeah, okay, you can't just like distribute it out and let everybody watch it. But isn't there a way that like somebody has to sit down and watch it and see who is implicated in this and see who, like, I just don't. And I think there's a lot of LARPing with this administration going on right now on this topic. But does anybody really expect that we're actually going to get to the bottom of this? Because I don't. And that in itself just tells you what a sham this whole goddamn system is. One of the things that's so amazing about the Jeffrey Epstein story, right, is, you have all of that. And then, of course, the end of it, which is just like, wait a minute, wait, what? Hold on. He's in like the most secure, like, prison. And then he gets the cameras go out and the correctional officers don't fill out the log and he's found dead. I mean, it's it's just, but when you look at it in totality, there's just like no getting around the huge indictment it is of this entire, like, everything. And I mean, even the fact that even the Trump administration, when Pam Bondi goes, "We're going to release all of this information. We've only redacted what needs to be redacted for national security."
The meme.
Like, why does anything need to be redacted for national security? Like, I'm sorry, you're telling me there's a pedophile ring and we can't tell you everything about it for national security? Why would that be related to national security? I mean, there's just, it's like, and I do think there's something, and it's very interesting because, like we talked briefly, was that on air before we were talking about Sam Harris kind of like criticized me a little bit for not having the credentials to talk about some of this stuff, which, like I even said, okay, he's got a point. But it's like one of the things that like guys like Sam Harris will talk about a lot is that like, look, we need trust in institutions. And this is his big thing where he goes, these people like Joe Rogan and Dave Smith are just tearing down the institutions. And while I recognize that's an issue, I also think we need trust in these institutions.
That's a good Sam Harris.
Well, it's like, yeah, but what? Yeah, well, if you talk in that tone, then it means you're not being emotional and you're only being logical and rational, which is like, I actually don't think is appropriate when you're talking about a child rapist ring. But whatever. That's my take on it. But it's like, okay, so where are these institutions I'm supposed to trust, man? You're telling me there's a pedophile ring that is at least in some degree associated with national security. Like, what? And how could you possibly have this story? Like, if you did care about trust in institutions, then you should be even louder than me talking about, like, you got to tell the truth on this story. Otherwise, we'll never have trust in these institutions.